I really like, Tony, how you put it, like capability error rules. I think we can
Yes.
add it to the literature. We can use it often. So with regards to actually HijackLoader, I am aware of the threat detection report that your team, Red Canary, is putting together, and I think there is a kind of a mention, a highlight there around HijackLoader, and I think it's kind of popping up in the environments that you monitor,
Yep.
right? Probably I would like to bring in right now to
Yeah.
get more insights around that from you.
Yeah, Red Canary produces a monthly insights report where we give you kind of an idea of the most prevalent malware families that we see running in customer environments. And HijackLoader ended up being in the top 10 for the last month because we really saw it have a pretty high prevalence. Um, HijackLoader is one of these threats that's kind of a co-occurring threat because HijackLoader really doesn't do anything by itself. It kind of to serve its purpose in life, it has to deliver something else. So we end up seeing it combined with other malware families nearly every time that it's run. So the only times it's not combined with other malware families is when it doesn't run successfully. And so the ones that we've seen most commonly lately, we've seen it distribute Luma in the past. We've seen it distribute most recently Eric Client 2. Other folks may call the malware SectopRat. Um, they had HijackLoader and SectopRat combinations had a really big month in the last month. We saw that across multiple environments. And again, these were all those click fix, paste and run instances. This is something that has been high enough prevalence that across all of our customer environments, those paste and run clusters of activity have been hitting the top 10 consistently every month. And to give you an idea, we have customers across pretty much every industry you can think of outside of some federal government things. And so we have customers in different areas of the world. Different areas of the world are affected, different industries are affected. This isn't something that's necessarily targeted, but it's something that affects everybody. And seeing all of that prevalence and seeing kind of wide distribution really hammers that home.
Yeah, which I think, especially when it comes to this paste and run delivery change or paste checking or click fix, how they have been, I think,
Yeah.
called in the past, or it's still a couple of different names out there from them. I think it's really interesting because when we have seen this for the very first time, which I think was at the end of last year, I was really super surprised by the technique. I mean, it's super simple, it's really straightforward, and it heavily relies on the user's interaction with those pages. And I really thought at the time when those attack chains started that, well, I mean, well, it's a nice idea, but I really had some concerns that this is going to work. But I was actually proven wrong, and it seems to be really working well, because otherwise it wouldn't be picked up by so many different families, and it seems to be quite successful, unfortunately, even though it really requires a couple of different steps from a user perspective. Which on the other side, I guess, also helps us in detecting that, because I mean, there are some specific indicators that they are quite common across all of those paste checking or paste and run samples, and that also make the detection side at least a little bit easier, I think.
And sharing something too about being able to detonate these in a sandbox. I know like some folks up front kind of go, well, wait, how do I paste a command into a sandbox for me to be able to run some of it? And honestly, just putting the command that you would paste in into a batch script and submitting it to a sandbox has been 100% the best way that I could replicate this chain in a sandbox like VMRay, because it will bring up as much information in there as I could ask for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we basically even, I think, in one of our last webinars, we also spoke about that paste checking campaigns, and VMRay also with, I think it was release version 2025.1, we also added support for official support for those paste checking attempts, which basically isn't doing much more than trying to also mimic a real user behavior when it comes to a URL analysis. So basically, considering you get an email with the URL that points to those pages, and whenever you open that and submit it, for example, to VMware Sandbox platform, We basically also try to figure out and find those elements that would be clicked by a human, that threat actors are trying to interact the human with. And basically we click those buttons, and then also we extract those commands that being put into the clipboard, and then also throw that into a recursive submission, like similar that you just mentioned, putting all of those data into a batch file and then just detonating it again into Sandbox. And this really brings you a lot of more visibility on what is going to happen and how this whole delivery chain looks like until the final stage is being dropped there.